It's Monday, November 27. In the headlines, Prime Minister Andrew Holness focused on productivity and peace. In business news, we have your market updates and more. Regionally, Guyanese academic says meeting of CARICOM heads needed before Venezuela's referendum. Internationally, Gaza Soup Kitchen volunteers unite to feed those in need. And in sports, Bravo steps away from international cricket. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. A partnership for productivity and peace. That is the vision for the Andrew Holness administration. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says the last term and a half was centered on steadying the economic ship. He was speaking at the Jamaica Labour Party's 80th anniversary conference on Sunday. The Prime Minister argues that violence comes at a great economic cost. He says a reduction in violence would lead to a lower national healthcare bill, a reduction in national security needs, therefore increasing citizens' creativity and social well-being.
All the salary increases that we are giving in the public sector, there are two things that threaten it. The first is inflation. If we don't manage inflation, the increased salary don't mean nothing. The second thing is productivity. If we don't increase our productivity, grow our GDP so we can grow our revenue, so we can continue to pay, then the salaries will not be sustainable. We cannot continue to be a society in conflict with ourselves. If it is one thing, therefore, that this administration must do, starting in this term and for the next term, is to put measures in place to deal with the unabated violence that is like a disease, like an epidemic in our society. So we have commissioned a study on it, which we should get by the end of this year.
Mr. Holness also touched on topics that included economic stability, education, public transportation, the privatization of dumps, renewable energy, climate change, the environment, and a $40 billion road improvement project over the next 2 fiscal years.
And we're going to divide that $40 billion in half. We're going to spend in the first year $20 billion divided equally per constituency. And we are going to fix the local roads in your area.
Students across the island are being educated about Jamaica's journey towards becoming a republic. The Ministry of Legal and Constitutional Affairs Road to Republic Secondary School tour began on November 23. Portfolio Minister Marlene Malahou-Ford says youth engagement is important to the process of transitioning from a constitutional monarchy to a republic.
People like Mr. Small, who's here with me, say from time to time in the committee that this work is for his grandchildren, and those who are to come. So we have the younger people who will be eligible to vote in the referendum, and we have been saying enumerate to participate. So we're going into the schools directly through the legal education unit of the ministry, alongside our media partners, to have the conversation.
The island-wide tour is scheduled to run from November 2023 to May 2024. The tour's first leg will capture schools in St. Catherine. The tour encompasses 18 stops, and approximately 300 senior secondary school students will be sensitized island-wide. Minister Malahou-Ford shared the information at a recent JIS think tank. The Jamaica Defense Force is working with the police to investigate a circulating video that shows persons wearing what resembles JDF uniforms whilst committing a robbery in Linstead, St. Catherine. The JDF says in a release, quote, "We are conducting the necessary checks to verify if the uniforms used in the incident are, in fact, the property of the JDF," end quote. Anyone with information about this incident is being asked to call the JDF's tip line at 876-837-8888. That's 876-837-8888. You do not have to give your name or any personal details to make a report. Time now for the business report with Danita Rodney.
This week's young boss is making big moves in the entertainment industry. She is April McIntosh, founder of Niche Entertainment Group.
Hi, my name is April McIntosh and I'm the CEO of Niche Entertainment Group. Niche Entertainment Group Limited is an entertainment business hub focusing mainly on artist development, artist management, events, and production. My inspiration in starting Niche Entertainment came from a few years of experience working in the business. It helped me to get experience in working with artists on a one-on-one platform. It helped me to understand some of the strategies and challenges that artists had, creatives, not just artists, had in developing their lives and developing their careers. And I found my niche in specializing in that area, working on the areas that were difficult or that they didn't understand at that time, breaking down, getting them to understand what it meant, how important it was, and to merge that with the actual industry so that they could become the artists that they deem necessary to become. The response has been received very well. I think most of us in the industry are very appreciative of individuals who come in to help nurture and develop, as opposed to just coming at a point where I've already gotten to a certain point in my career and I want to take you further and grow with you from there. I think there is a level of appreciation from artists or creatives on a whole who find balance and value in you building with them from the ground up. So most, if not all, of our clients have been appreciative in some way. Some of the artists or companies that we've worked with to develop artists would have been Voicemail, Chevron, who is now known as Choir. We have Frankie Music Productions. We have worked with Bella Blair, 5 Star, Celestial, Manine, a young lady by the name of Nikaika Music. We also, well, most people would know us now by Rasai. He's the artist that we did a few years artist development with, and is now protruding in the industry, in the reggae charts at least. So yeah, that names some of the artists that we have. To be honest, when we started out 10 years ago, we did not implement a heavy social media strategy for the company. We did, however, find it very important at that time to highlight it for our clients. We were more a private entity, boutique, entity that we didn't want to, at the time, branch out too much. We wanted to work with the small group of artists that we had. But over time, we have moved with the times and we have realized the importance of having it. When it comes on to our clients, though, it is not just the social media aspect of marketing that we focus on. There are other aspects of it that need to be in place for every creative. Other forms of marketing that we encourage with our creatives is traditional marketing. We also focus on not just locally marketing our artists, but also internationally, or depending on their markets and where their career, where they have decided their career path should lead them. We tend to target markets based on those things and work with them to achieving those goals. So it's not just social media. We believe in developing websites, we believe in print media, we believe in interviews, we believe in going on the radio, not just TV interviews, but having conversations in different forums to help them get their music and their message out.
Now for your market updates. In foreign exchange trading for Friday, November 24, the US dollar sold for an average of $156.12. The Canadian dollar ended trading at $114.16. The pound sterling traded for $196.70, and the euro sold for $173.48. In GSE trading, the GSE index advanced by over 1,073 points. The junior market index advanced by over 4 points. The combined market index advanced by over 1,042 points, and the All Jamaican Composite Index advanced by over 2,405 points. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 103 stocks, of which 43 advanced, 39 declined, and 21 traded firm. Stocks advanced for 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited, AMT Packaging and Paper Company Limited, and Barita Investments Limited. Stocks declined for AS Bryden and Sons Holdings Limited, Access Financial Services Limited, and Berger Paints Jamaica Limited. Trading firm were Dollar Financial Services Limited, Epley 7.50% preference shares due 2024, and GUS Corporation Limited ordinary shares. The overall volume leaders were One Great Studio Company Limited with over 2 million units, Wigton Wind Farm Limited ordinary shares, and Cygnus Credit Investments Limited ordinary shares with over 1 million units. In regional stocks in Trinidad and Tobago, the mutual fund market did not record any activity. On the Barbados Stock Exchange, Epley Caribbean Property Fund Value Fund was the volume leader with over 20,000 shares. They were followed by West India Biscuit Company and Emira Deposit Receipt, which traded 1,227 and 10 shares respectively. In regional business in Barbados, 18 small entrepreneurs have been given a business opportunity at the Grantley Adams International Airport. They formed the core of what is a new developing initiative, Trevor Thorpe reports.
The entrepreneurs have given the thumbs up to the opportunity. Mali and Ophelia Trotman of Mali's Cocktails told the Business Report the Grantley Adams International Airport is an excellent location and discussed the composition of their product.
So Mali's Cocktails is basically a variation of different cocktails we produce, from vodka, gin, whiskey, rum, tequila, all types of spirits, even sangrias as well, which consists of wine.
Shells hold pride of place for Gina Hunt and Maxine Howell at Daphne's Seashells Studio, and they are sought after by both locals and visitors.
Visitors from all over the world come through this departure lounge, as you know, and it's an item that is easy to take home. It's handmade here in Barbados. It's made with seashells, and everybody can purchase a little ornament, whether it's for themselves, for their tree, to decorate their own tree, or as a little gift, because they're easy to pack, light to carry, and they're beautiful. And we like to make beautiful things.
At Treasures by Lynn, sales executive Lynn Marie Gibson says chains and lace beads are popular.
I go accordingly to the flights. Yes.
What's a normal day like?
A normal day, sometimes it's slow, sometimes it's hectic. I know they have air to sea, so it should be great.
Deborah Tate Cumberbatch at Mudiwa's Creations tells the Business Report she produces pieces from wire, volcanic stones, and wood.
People love my work. It's unique, most of it one of a kind, and everything here is made locally, with the exception of the souvenirs. I make my own jewelry and I create as I go along. So it's, like I said, one of a kind.
Airport officials tell the business report the small entrepreneurship initiative is work in progress and further development is in the works. Trevor Thorpe for the business report.
In market days for oil prices fell on Monday with the Brent benchmark dropping below $80 a barrel as investors awaited this week's OPEC Plus meeting and expected curbs on supplies into 2024. Brent crude futures were down 91 cents at $79.67 a barrel, and West Texas Intermediate futures lost 89 cents to $74.65. And that was the business report on PBCJ. I'm Danita Rodney.
In regional news, describing Venezuela as a class bully in wake of the Nicolas Maduro government's ambitions to annex Guyana's resource-rich Essequibo region through a December 3rd referendum, respected Guyanese academic Dr. Mark Curtin believes the CARICOM must drum up its support for Guyana now more than ever.
Participating as one of three distinguished panelists in a discussion and awareness session on the Guyana-Venezuela border controversy at the Bishop's High School in Georgetown on Friday, Guyanese academic Dr. Mark Curtin reiterated his call for a meeting of CARICOM heads before the December 3rd vote in Venezuela. But why a meeting when CARICOM has already issued dozens of statements in support of Guyana? As the honorary senior fellow at the University of the West Indies sees it, the meeting is needed even if it is to offer a new pledge of unwavering support for Guyana. But more seriously, he said urgent consideration must be given to enhance regional security systems to serve as part of a deterrence mission to Guyana.
I reiterate the call for a meeting of CARICOM heads before the 3rd of December, with the sole item on the agenda being the existential threat to Guyana's sovereignty and a pledge of unequivocal and unwavering support for Guyana. And I believe that there should be consideration of an enhanced regional security system to serve as part of a broader international strategic deterrence mission, which could act as a counterweight to any potential aggression by our neighbors.
But Attorney General Anil Nandlal has said that Guyana is confident in the collective and national support of all 14 member states of the regional bloc. Nandlal shared the panel with Dr. Curtin and Guyana's agent to the International Court of Justice, Carl Greenidge. The session was moderated by Minister of Education Priya Manichand. Nandlal said the Guyana government has already received the support of CARICOM heads, noting it has resulted in the dissemination of possibly the strongest statement in support of Guyana thus far. And in direct response to Dr. Curtin's call, Nandlal said any moves to another engagement dedicated for this purpose is a matter that the government as a collective will have to decide on.
Prime Minister Mia Mottley and I believe Dr. Keith Rowley on different occasions pointed out that statement embodies the view of every single CARICOM head of state and CARICOM nation state. When you read the language and the tone of that statement, there is not a single person can sense any equivocation, any ambiguity regarding that support.
The last statement from CARICOM was on October 25, 2023. CARICOM insists that the referendum proposed by Venezuela has no validity, bearing, or standing in international law in relation to this controversy.
The bilateral air services agreement signed between Trinidad and Tobago and Curacao on Friday has laid the platform for airlines to take advantage of the opportunities presented. This was the assertion made by the participants at the ceremony at the Ministry of Works and Transport.
Air Services Agreement signed a pipeline for Trinidad and Tobago. That's the assurance given by Works and Transport Minister Rohan Sinanan. The minister and his counterpart from Curacao have signed an agreement that gives airlines operating out of both countries open spaces in each territory. At the signing ceremony, Minister Sinanan points out that his ministry has been vigorously pursuing the Air Services Agreements despite difficulties to complete it. But he says there is now a template to work with.
Because what this does, as the chairman explained, it actually develops a tourist industry. It brings trade closer, and the benefits from these agreements are far-reaching. I understand we have the agreement with Qatar to be signed, I think, by February of next year. Then we go on to sign Ghana soon after that.
Despite having direct flights twice per week to Trinidad, Minister of Traffic, Transportation and Urban Planning of Curaçao, Charles Cooper, says that planning the itinerary between flights still has its difficulties. He says he was required to stay over in Panama for 7 hours before coming to Trinidad. He notes that his country's strategy was to first maintain connectivity in the Caribbean.
I think as islanders, especially in the Caribbean, we have to team up together, and we have all the potential to grow these businesses based on air service that we can provide together and target the other part of the world.
Chairman of the Standing Negotiations Committee on Air Services Agreement, Anthony Vieira, explains there were several reasons that agreements can be stalled. He says a change in government, difference in legislation and legal systems, and need for translators were just a few. The Air Services Agreement between Trinidad and Tobago and Curaçao was started in 2013, and the recently signed agreement with the United Arab Emirates began 13 years ago.
A new deal will enable airlift between Barbados and Suriname. On Friday, Ambassador to that country and the Prime Minister's Special Envoy to Suriname and Guyana, Althea Wiggins, shared the details during a CBC Nightly News Report.
I'm pleased to announce the start of the Suriname Airways flight, starting at Pengal Airport in Suriname, going to Chedijagan and Barbados. And from Barbados, Chedijagan and Pengal Airport. So it will benefit the trade people tremendously and business persons, because getting to Suriname was always a challenge. I remember last year when we were going for the energy conference, we had to go to Miami and spend about 5 hours. Now you're only going to be spending 2 hours from Barbados to Suriname. And the interesting thing about Suriname Airways, one of the planes has a capacity of 150 seats, 12 business class, 30 premium economy, and the remainder economy. In addition to that, you have the cargo hold that can hold at least 5,000 pounds of cargo. Last year when we had AgroFest, the Surinamese delegation had to travel with their staff in their suitcases and travel on Trans-Guyana, and you can only carry 22, 23 pounds. So this is a major deal, Pearson. It's major.
And so, having announced that that is now the case, naturally everyone wants to know, when does it actually become operationalized, when we can actually see Suriname Airways here and be able to sit in the seats to Suriname?
The inaugural flight begins on the 20th of December next month. The inaugural flight is the 20th of December. So watch out for that. And as I said, it will benefit both air travel and cargo. And it's critically important. In addition to that, I've been meeting, before I go there, I want to say to you that this culminates 4 years of negotiations. I have been on the ground negotiating for a long time, trying to get airlift out of Suriname to Barbados, to and fro. And today marks a culmination of that effort.
In international news, the UN has warned of an immediate possibility of starvation for Palestinians in Gaza as food supplies continue to run dangerously low. But despite the suffering, Palestinians are coming together to help their community with whatever little they have. Al Jazeera has the details.
On the streets of Khan Yunis, a simmering pot of soup tells the story of compassion and strength in Gaza. These friends are cooking the few bags of lentils they have left for the Palestinians displaced by war. They know what it feels to be hungry, cold, and displaced.
The aim is to give something to the displaced people who came from the north. They have suffered a lot of pain and bitterness. Some of them haven't eaten for 4 or 5 days, so we wait for them and give them cups of lentils.
Alyan Abu Saida was displaced from his home, and so were his friends, all volunteering at this time of unprecedented needs. There's no fuel, so they use paper and a few blocks of wood as kindle. Supplies are low, even lentils and salt are hard to come by. But despite the hardships, there's hope and happiness, even in the smallest things.
I can't express how I feel when I see people taking cups of lentils and looking at me and wishing me all the best and asking God to bless me.
A car has no use when there's no fuel, so they use donkey carts to transport cauldrons of lentils all the way to Salah ad-Din Road, a road that tens of thousands of Palestinians have taken from the north of Gaza to the south through Israeli checkpoints. For many, it's their first meal of a terrifying day and a small comfort after weeks.
The situation is very difficult. It's tough and above any imagination. It's destruction. Nothing to eat and nothing to drink. No electricity and no flour. In Gaza and in the north, there's no life at all.
Gaza is the dignity. Gaza is the history. Gaza is the civilization. If you want Gaza, just stay firm for the sake of Gaza.
A message from Gaza that despite Israel's chilling war of starvation and siege, the warmth of its people will endure. Imran Allah Khan, Al Jazeera.
In sports, Darren Bravo has decided to take a break from cricket following his non-selection in West Indies squad for their 3-match ODI series against England next month.
The 34-year-old, who last played for West Indies in February 2022, continued to be left out, despite topping the run charts in the 2023-2024 Super 50 Cup, where he scored 416 runs at an average of 83.20. It is not yet clear how long Bravo intends to step away from the game. He wrote on Instagram that he is taking time to ponder what's his next step moving forward as a cricketer. He added that at this point in his career, it's not easy to decide what's next. He says he has found it takes a lot to continue to find the energy, the passion, commitment and discipline to continue performing to the best of his ability and to put himself in a position to make his return to the international cricket. Apart from the senior ODI side, Bravo has not found a place in either the West Indies Academy squad that is playing a home series against Ireland Academy or the West Indies A squad that is touring South Africa for 3 unofficial tests.
Cricket West Indies has announced that Jordan Johnson will replace Kevlon Anderson in the West Indies A team 14-member squad for the ongoing tour of South Africa.
Kevlon Anderson experienced challenges with his visa documentation and was unable to travel to South Africa. Anderson will now join the West Indies Academy team in Antigua for the 2 4-day first-class matches against emerging Ireland at the Coolidge Cricket Ground. Jordan Johnson will travel immediately to South Africa and will be available for selection for the 2nd and 3rd 4-day test matches against South Africa A. Following the recent International Cricket Council announcement that South Africa will now host the ICC Men's Under-19 Cricket World Cup in January 2024, the A-team call-up provides Johnson with the opportunity to gain valuable experience of South African conditions. West Indies A won the first test against South Africa A on Friday by 1 wicket in a thrilling finish at Willamore Park in Benoni. The two teams will now travel to East London for the 2nd match at Buffalo Park, starting on Tuesday, 28 November. First ball daily is at 4 a.m. Eastern Caribbean time. West Indies Academy will start their first-class series against emerging Ireland on Saturday at the Coolidge Cricket Ground. First ball daily is at 10 a.m. Eastern Caribbean time. Wayne Cunningham, TDT Sport.
And that's the news on PBCJ. Thank you so much for watching.